The DOT on Friday held a press conference and released a new interim final rule related to non-domiciled CDL issuance that intends to push almost 200,000 non-citizen drivers out of the industry and potentially boost rates for domestic carriers. Often after severe weather events or other disasters, grocery store shelves quickly empty and are not restocked immediately. During these times, people realize that trucking is the backbone of the nation. Trucks deliver nearly 75% of all freight, and when they stop moving, the country grinds to a halt. In less than a week, almost every grocery store shelf will be empty, followed soon by the essential consumer goods, says Maya Adams, opinion contributor to The Hill. And the article we're reacting to here is long-haul trucking crisis impacts Americans every day. She goes on to say that she's been noticing that more and more store shelves are becoming empty. So the premise of this is that there is a long-haul trucker crisis, a shortage of truck drivers, right? The same old story. We're gonna go through this article a little bit, see what she says, and then we'll come on back to we'll react to it. Says, simply put, trucking is a traditional, unglamorous job with little prestige, modest pay, few opportunities for advancement, and conflicts with family life. Key challenges included weeks on the road, a shortage of truck parking, overtime pay, and often unpaid wait time at shipping and receiving facilities. For decades, the entertainment industry and society at large have stereotypically portrayed truck drivers as rough-looking, pot-bellied, white males at the bottom of the social strata. Thus, it is rare for anyone to grow up saying, "I want to be a truck driver." Therefore, to attract younger drivers, the trucking industry must be rebranded and restructured as a well-paying career both for men and women taking pride in a job that contributes to making America great. And this fella says, "My generation was willing to put up with a lot. We never said enough is enough." I don't think younger people are going to put up with that. Well, that's true. Young people don't dream of being abused 24 hours a day. I mean, anyway, okay, so before we react, if you like the content, again, doesn't cost you anything. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. And I can't promise you every episode's going to be a banger, but if you're driving down the road and you want to just click it and listen to it, don't watch it while you're driving down the road, but click it and listen. Then I'm happy to entertain you. So let's deal with this article. The premise that there's a truck driver shortage. We'll go to another study, okay? Because I don't buy into this. I don't think that's where the evidence goes. It says there was during 21 and 2022 during the pandemic, but then he goes on to say, consequently, a driver glut was also created once demand began to normalize. Truck driver jobs have been dropping ever since. Well, the only reason truck driving jobs have been dropping is because there's not a driver shortage, right? There's a freight shortage, right? And I did another podcast where I talked about a freight shortage, and I gave the story of a woman and her husband. They became owner-operators during the pandemic. They were making bank until, well, there were so many of them that there was not enough work to go around, right? So, you got to think of this like this. Number one, it's in your interest for there to be a trucking shortage, because that's when companies might be more inclined to give you a bonus or maybe negotiate a little bit. Good luck with the negotiation, but at least they'll give you a sign-on bonus. Maybe be less quick to fire you if you do something stupid. And you got to think of it like if you were the only truck driver in the world, okay? How much would you be worth, right? You would be worth a whole lot more, right? Your wages would go up because you're the only one that can move the freight, right? So when there's too many truck drivers, the pay goes down or it stagnates, right? One of my friends was at a company where her pay went down. But it looks, if we go to another article here, unrelated, there is going to be a trucker shortage, and it looks like it's going to be at the hand of the government. So we're talking the United States here. The DOT on Friday held a press conference and released a new interim final rule related to non-domiciled CDL issuance that intends to push almost 200,000 non-citizen drivers out of the industry and potentially boost rates for domestic carriers. Last part, and potentially boost rates for domestic carriers. Why? Because there will actually be a driver shortage instead of a freight shortage. So he goes on to say non-domiciled CDL holders will now have to renew their license in person annually, and FMCSA expects 194,000 of them won't make the cut within 2 years. So that's kind of good news, right? If you want your rates to go up, all that talk about, well, not talk, the action about taking non-English speaking drivers off the road, right? That's a big one. And then the hold on migrant truck driver visas that's going on right now. I mean, that's all good to keep your rates up. So into this article a little bit more, she says, truck driving is a traditional, unglamorous job with little prestige, modest pay, few opportunities for advancement, and conflicts with family life. Okay, so yes, it's a traditional, unglamorous job with low prestige. I would never become a truck driver. I didn't want to become a truck driver. I only got into trucking because I was 21 when I graduated high school. I blew my education, and generally that's why most people I know drive a truck. They weren't scholars. They didn't care to be in school. They didn't care to pursue any kind of professional career. I mean, a real professional career, not one where they just call you professional. And in this internet age where everybody's, you got the whole red pill community and everybody's concerned with being an alpha male, trucking's not exactly the most attractive job, right? And as far as modest pay, the pay is good, I think, if you're short haul trucking, but this is talking about long haul. And in that case, the pay is awful, because you're not paid right? You put 10 hours for free in every single day, and yeah, you're not paid for it. I remember I got into an argument with my boss once. I would go into work at 12. This was short haul, but it was a weird shift I was working back in 2002, 2003. I would have to go to sleep for 5 hours and wait for the shipper to open, all for free. I wouldn't get paid. Had to do that 3 times a week. And I was like, well, that's like 15 hours for free. And she said, well, that's just part of your job. I said, well, how would you like it if you had to stay in the office for 15 hours for free every week? Would you agree with that? Would you do the job still? No, but that's just part of the job. I wouldn't do it. I said, well, here's my 2 weeks notice, right? I quit and went to another company that I didn't have to wait that long, generally speaking. And then few opportunities for advancement. The only way you advance in trucking is to get out of trucking. I've said that before. If you want to advance in trucking, you got to be willing to get out of the truck. And unfortunately, if you're doing long haul, you're practically invisible, right? There's not a lot of jobs to be had, and you're not in the best position to go back to school. You can do it online if you really want to. There are ways you can do it. It's tough though, right? You're working crazy hours. You're exhausted at the end of your day. So it's hard to go back to school. And even if you don't go back to school, I know just from doing short haul, I was in a satellite yard. There's very few places to advance to. There's not a lot of jobs. And actually, we talk about pay, the pay is usually less. In the office, they're not making that much money. A lot of times they don't even get bonuses like you do. So few opportunities for advancement. Sorry for the slurping sound. Few opportunities for advancement. It conflicts with family life. That's an understatement. As a short haul driver, I can say the amount of affairs that were going on were insane. You would hear about them a lot. I can only imagine how it is for long haul drivers that are away from their families all the time, But yeah, you're going to miss birthdays. You're going to miss anniversaries. You're going to miss graduations. Anyone who does long haul will tell you. I did long haul for a little while when I started. You won't be hanging out with your friends at all. You won't have a life, okay? I know when I did it, my job, I was simply, back in the day we had different logbook hours. I would drive for 5 hours, sleep for 5 hours till you basically crashed, hopefully not literally. Yeah, and then just on top of that, again, here's what a sales pitch, right? Your mental illness is a lot higher as a long haul driver. Accidental death on the job, a lot higher. Your suicides are a lot higher. And your life expectancy is a lot lower, right? And it says, I'm going to skip down a bit. Why? Because it says truckers are stereotypically portrayed as rough-looking, pot-bellied white males at the bottom of the social strata. Well, on both accounts, that's not just a stereotype. It's true. You're pot-bellied because your diet sucks, and there's not as much opportunity to eat healthy. You really have to plan your meals. You can do it, but you really have to plan your meals. Like, I know if I was back on the road, I would be buying myself one of those. I'd buy a camping kit, right, with the grill and the burner, right, get the propane tank, and I would have to have a refrigerator and a freezer in my truck. That's the only way I would do long haul, because I would have to have take time every day to have at least one or two like good meals. That's the only way I would do it. But you got to plan for that, right? And so you're constantly battling against your laziness. I know when I did long haul, Exercise, because I was into bodybuilding and before I did long haul, and my exercise would be me in the shower room doing sit-ups, push-ups, squats while I'm waiting to have my shower, right? So it's not a stereotype. It really is. You are rough looking. You are pot-bellied. You have the diabetic belly, and you are pretty much at the bottom of the social strata. So yeah, I mean, nobody's looking to you for your wisdom as a truck driver, right? So it says key challenges included weeks on the road, a shortage of truck parking, overtime pay, and often unpaid waiting time at shipping, receiving facilities. Shortage of truck driving, let's go weeks on the road. Yeah, I'd be out when I did it. I was weeks on the road. I did team driving. I was weeks on the road with somebody I didn't like. Usually we had different political views. We'd be fighting all the time. And you're just, you get home. I got homesick when I was doing it. Not because I was still living with my parents. It wasn't because like, oh, I miss my parents. It was because I missed my life, right? If you're an extrovert, trucking to me, long haul is, no thank you. I like having a nightlife. And then a shortage of truck parking. Yeah, that's true. I took a load from Toronto to Philadelphia once, and probably the horrific time I ever had behind the wheel was that run. I was actually fed up. I think that's the last time I really did long haul. It was regional, but it was kind of long haul, if you get what I mean. Like I was gone for days. Toronto to Philadelphia, back up to Ottawa, but from Toronto to Philadelphia, it was like the middle of the night. I was absolutely exhausted, and I had to go over the Appalachians a little bit, if my memory serves. There was nowhere to park my truck. I was exhausted and I couldn't pull my truck off. This is the middle of the night. I felt like I was gonna drive my truck off the cliff because there was just nowhere to pull my truck off. So like if you are doing long haul, which will probably include going to places you're not familiar with, you need to make sure that you plan your trips accordingly. Trip planning. Otherwise, you're gonna find yourself driving longer than you intend on. Overtime pay, again, yes. What a sales pitch. Drive a truck for 70 hours a week with no overtime pay, yet people who work office jobs, they get paid overtime after 40 hours. So you're gonna work for a steady paycheck, like for steady pay, 50, 60 cents a mile as a company driver. I'm not sure what owner operators get, but a fleet driver, there's no overtime pay. You might get something extra if you work on the weekends. Maybe, but again, that'll be a pittance. Like you're getting ripped off everywhere you turn around, right? Unpaid wait time at shipping and receiving facilities, that's sometimes true. Unless you're being paid by the hour. I know last place I worked, again, it wasn't long haul, but it was, you had to give an hour for free. You had to give an hour for free. They didn't pay you for that hour, but you got, if it was your second stop, you got paid for that. They always had a way to save money, right? But sometimes you'd be compensated, it ended up, and sometimes you wouldn't be compensated. So, but I would add to this, it's not just these things that would turn me off. And these are just issues that are like common to long haul and short haul. Unpaid border wait times. You know, a lot of times you get, sometimes you go to a company, like, we'll give you $6 to cross the border, right? And then you sit on the freeway, or you sit on, like in Windsor, you'd sit on Huron Church for hours waiting to cross the border. And then when you get to the border, if you're really unlucky, you go in for x-ray or you go to secondary, then you sit there for even longer unpaid, right? And then sometimes you'd be stuck in an accident. If you're paid by the mile, there's no, unless it's like insane, unless it was like an insane amount of time, I mean, and it was daily, you weren't getting nothing. You weren't getting nothing for it. So what should take you 9 or 10 hour run ends up taking you 10 to 12, depending on how things go. And guess what? That's just how it goes. So you go from making $30 an hour down to $20 an hour, right? So it's things like that. So, and when she goes on, she says to attract younger drivers. I don't know what she means by this, that the trucking industry must be rebranded and restructured as a well-paying career. Rebranded just sounds like propaganda. Instead of saying modest pay, it's a well-paying career. I don't know what that means. The only way you're going to attract more young people is by compensating them. And we're talking again long haul. The only way you're going to attract more young people to do long haul, because that's really what the opinion piece is panicking about. Nobody young wants to do it. the only way you're going to do it is by actually paying people, right? It's got to be worth giving up your dreams. Okay, I'll put it like this. If you want me, if I'm a 20-year-old guy, if you're watching this and you're a young guy considering going into trucking, and you're going to go on the road, right? The compensation needs to compensate me for my increased levels of mental illness, my increased risk of suicide, my increased risk of divorce, death on the road from an accident, right? You have to compensate me for giving up my life, giving up the ability to maybe meet a nice woman, a nice young lady and get married and have a stable family. You got to be willing. How are you going to compensate me for that? Right? That's the question you got to ask. And if they don't have an answer for it, then see ya, you know. But that's how you rebrand it. The pay for a long haul driver, in my opinion, shouldn't be any less than $200,000 a year. You know. So anyway, what do I think of this article overall? There's a lot of good points in it. You know, she goes on to say at the end that this whole conversation is going to be moot at some point because in about 25 years, a lot of these jobs are going to be taken by autonomous trucking, and then shortage of truck drivers. We're not even going to be discussing this anymore. So anyway, now, if you are a long haul truck driver right now and you are having issues with staying in shape, for whatever reason you like being on the road, take a look in my profile on my page here, because I do have a resource. I used to be a personal trainer and I have a diploma in personal training. And so I've got some idea. I got a resource there for you if you're interested in it. It'll show you how to get in shape, give you some pointers on how to eat properly, a little bit of strategy so that you don't end up with diabetes, or maybe you can reverse it, right? So give that a look, and that's all I got right now. So till next time, take care, keep the rubber side down. Cheers.